The Princess of Wales is set to make her first overseas trip since her illness.
Catherine, Princess of Wales, will travel to Italy next week.
The visit marks her return to international duties after cancer treatment.
She will spend 2 days in Reggio Emilia.
The trip will focus on early childhood developments. It will highlight the Reggio Emilia approach to education. We'll take a short break now. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. Let's continue from where we stopped. The princess revealed in 2024 that she was undergoing cancer treatment.
She later confirmed she is now in remission. Her public appearances have increased gradually in recent months.
She continues her work through the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood in Nigeria.
The center promotes children's emotional and social well-being.
Officials say she is looking forward to the visit. The trip signals a steady return to royal duties and continued focus on children's development. Stay with us for more updates. I remain your host, Miss Owumi.
Today's episode is a deep dive into one of the most carefully constructed public images in modern royalty. The Princess of Wales, Catherine Middleton. Over the past weeks, royal headlines have focused on everything from her public appearances in the UK, to her upcoming solo trip to Italy, to ongoing speculation about Prince George's education and the direction of the Wales family's public role. But beneath the polished photo ops and carefully worded palace briefings, there is a larger story unfolding, one that is not just about engagements and travel schedules, but about identity, influence, and the future structure of the monarchy itself. In this episode, we are bringing together 3 connected threads. 1. Her public image as the modern royal mother. 2. Her upcoming solo international engagement in Italy. 3. And the long-running early years initiative that has come to define her work. Because when you place all of these pieces side by side, a bigger question emerges. Is this simply a continuation of royal duty as we know it, or are we watching the gradual reshaping of what it means to be Princess of Wales in the 21st century? Let's begin. When the Princess of Wales recently visited the University of East London, the event appeared on the surface exactly as expected. A composed royal arrival, warm interactions with children and parents, carefully structured engagement with educators, and, of course, the familiar, polished photography that has become a defining feature of her public appearances. It was a moment designed to communicate stability, relatability, and emotional connection, all key pillars of her public image. But royal appearances are never just appearances. They are carefully constructed narratives, and what we are really seeing in moments like these is not just a visit, but a performance of modern monarchy. At the center of that performance is the Early Years Initiative, a long-standing focus of the Princess of Wales that emphasizes early childhood development, emotional well-being, and the importance of environment in shaping a child's future. On paper, it is a serious and meaningful area of focus, but over time, it has also become something more, the defining identity of her public role, a lens through which almost every royal engagement is interpreted, a framework that connects motherhood, advocacy, and institutional responsibility, and increasingly, a narrative that evolves alongside her personal life. Because as her children have grown, so too has the perception of her work. What once felt immediate and personal now feels broader, more reflective, and increasingly institutional. And that shift sets the stage for everything that follows. The next major development in this narrative is her upcoming solo visit to Reggio Emilia in northern Italy. On the surface, this is an educational and research-focused trip linked to the Royal Foundation Centre for Early Childhood. The visit will explore the internationally recognized Reggio Emilia approach, a philosophy of child-led learning, community involvement, and environmental influence in education. It is, in many ways, a natural extension of her existing work. But what makes this visit significant is not the subject matter, it is the structure, because the Princess of Wales will be travelling without Prince William, and in royal terms, that detail carries weight. For years, William and Kate have been presented as a unified royal partnership, a consistent, balanced image of the future monarchy. Their public engagements are often joint, their messaging aligned, and their appearances carefully coordinated. So when one half of that partnership begins to step into independent international work, it introduces a subtle but important shift in narrative. Some interpret this as a natural evolution, a sign of growing confidence and expanded responsibility. Others see it as a carefully managed transition toward more individualized royal identities within the same institution. Either way, symbolism matters, because in monarchy, nothing is ever just travel, it is messaging. And this visit to Italy is being framed not just as an engagement, but as a fact-finding mission. A phrase that suggests research, evaluation, and long-term application. That language elevates the visit beyond ceremonial duty. It positions it closer to intellectual and policy-adjacent work. And that, in turn, raises expectations. Because when a royal figure begins engaging in structured international research themes, they are no longer just representing the monarchy, they are representing ideas. And ideas are far more scrutinized than appearances. This is where the narrative begins to shift. Kate is no longer just appearing at engagements. She's being positioned as an international voice within a specific field. Early childhood development is becoming not just her theme, but her identity. And Italy may represent the beginning of a more visible independent phase in that evolution. At the center of all of this sits the Early Years Initiative, the most consistent and defining aspect of the Princess of Wales's public work. It is presented as a research-driven, evidence-based campaign focused on the importance of early childhood development. It emphasizes emotional security, brain development, relationships, and long-term societal well-being, and it has been widely praised for bringing attention to an important area of social policy. But over time, a more complex interpretation has emerged, because unlike traditional policy initiatives, this one is deeply intertwined with the personal identity of its founder. It evolved during a period when Kate was actively raising young children. It was shaped alongside her experience of motherhood, and it was communicated to the public through that lens, which creates a unique dynamic, because as her children grow older, the initiative does not disappear, but its personal immediacy shifts. What was once lived experience becomes reflective advocacy. What was once personal becomes institutional. And that transition is where public interpretation begins to diverge. Supporters see authenticity, a mother using her experience to influence meaningful change. Critics see branding, a carefully constructed narrative that aligns public duty with personal life stage. But both interpretations miss a deeper structural truth about monarchy itself, because royal initiatives are not designed to function like government policy or academic research. They are designed to influence perception, shape conversation, and elevate awareness. And in that sense, Early Years is highly successful. It has created a consistent identity framework for the Princess of Wales. It has positioned her as emotionally intelligent, socially aware, and future-focused, and it has given her a clear thematic space within the monarchy. But it also creates expectations of clarity, impact, and long-term definition, because the more central a narrative becomes, the more closely it is examined. And that is where tension naturally emerges, not because the work is unclear, but because it operates at the intersection of personal identity and institutional messaging. And intersections are always complex. When we step back and look at all three threads together: her public image, her solo international engagement, and her early years initiative, a larger pattern begins to form. This is not just about individual royal events. It is about transition. A transition in how the Princess of Wales is being positioned within the monarchy, from joint representation to selective independence, from domestic engagement to international presence, from personal experience to institutional narrative, and perhaps most importantly, from a defined public role into an evolving one, because what we are witnessing is not a sudden change. It is a gradual shift in structure, carefully managed, carefully presented, and carefully interpreted, and that is what makes it so significant. This brings us to the end of today's deep dive. If you followed this episode all the way through, you now have a clearer picture of how the Princess of Wales's public role is being shaped, not just by events and appearances, but by narrative structure, symbolism, and long-term institutional positioning. But the story is far from over, because coming next, we will be looking at Prince George, the school decisions surrounding his future, and what that reveals about the next generation of the monarchy, and the choices shaping it behind the scenes. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments, and let us know what you think. Is Kate Middleton's role evolving into something more independent and international? Or is this simply the next phase of a carefully managed royal image? Either way, one thing is clear: the future of the monarchy is already being shaped in real time. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.